In a highly anticipated matchup between the FIBA world ranked number one team in Spain going up against the US came out on top. In the end, it was pretty comfortable, but it was a very good game with the US just pulling away late. This wasn't exactly a number one ranked Spain team, really. Like they are number one ranked, but they don't have Ricky Rubio. They won the last World Cup, but they're not the same team. But they're still very good. But for Team USA, it pretty much felt like they were always gonna win. They had control, I would say, for most of the game, and just kind of lost control at the start of halftime, or at the start of the second half. I mean, but when they did, they had that 10-point lead going to the half, and then it pretty quickly got dwindled down to nothing. But I think they did a good job of regrouping, and even, I feel like they regrouped pretty quickly after the poor start where they were turning the ball over a bunch. But then, Spain kept coming, and I thought the officiating was going against the US at that point for a little bit, but I think the US didn't really let that affect them, and they knew that, at some point it was going to even out. And so just to withstand that little Spain run, I think the refs were a little influenced by the Spanish crowd. I'm not gonna lie. Like they missed four out of bounds calls against the US. They had that horrible unsportsmanlike call on Mikal Bridges early, which was ridiculous. I don't understand the unsportsmanlike call. Like, why is there an unsportsmanlike call for just trying to stop a guy's continuation, just playing defense? But there's not for like a take foul. Like, it's funny watching all the US guys whenever there is a take foul, they'll like signal for the take foul in the NBA, but they don't have that in FIBA. They should have that in FIBA because I do like the take foul rule. But I think this game was good, or that run from Spain was good for this team because they showed that they could withstand that pressure and that they could respond quickly to adversity against a very good team. I think Spain got up by 4 points at one point in that third quarter, and then Cam Johnson came in and just splashed a three. And once he hit that three, then it never felt like the US was going to look back. I love Cam Johnson for this team. He just comes in, bangs threes, plays good defense, gets out and runs, just does everything you could ask from a guy. And it's annoying that I don't have the box score because I went to NBA.com and USABasketball.com and it redirects me to a Spanish site, I think, and the box score is just wrong. So that's annoying. So I don't know the exact numbers, but it felt like Cam Johnson had a very good game, and he's had a very good 3 games. He's been knocking down his threes, but for the US, they finally started knocking down threes. Jalen Brunson was knocking him down. Brunson was huge in that first quarter and throughout the game, just making things happen off the dribble, creating uh, havoc inside with his drives and kicks. And I think he was getting a lot of hockey assists where he would pass out to the wing, one pass to the corner, and a US player would knock down the three. The US shot very well from three. Spain, I think, shot well from three as well, although I'm not, sure because this box score is wrong. But I think they shot well, definitely not as well as the US, but they shot a lot more. And I think with them shooting a lot of threes, it resulted in a lot of long rebounds, which the US struggled to get. The US really struggled with rebounding, especially in the first half, and I think a little bit in the third quarter as well. The US very much looked like a team that was on the second night of a back-to-back. I thought it was especially apparent when Bobby Portis and Paolo Banchero were in the game at the 4 and the 5, and that's just, not a lot of size. And Spain does have size, and they can also space the floor, which creates rotations, which makes the big guys come away from the basket. And I just thought Spain was quicker to those 50-50 balls, which I probably is just a symptom of the US being on a back to back. I thought it was weird that they had a back to back in the for exhibition games. That's kind of weird to me that they would schedule it like that. But one thing that I was hoping to see when the US was getting killed on the boards was Walker Kessler. I wanted to see him, like, even if, sure, it may not have made the most sense to play him, I think it would have been nice to play Walker Kessler a little bit just to see what he could give you. Just to see if he could play against a team that's going to space the floor, see how he fits into the team, because this is an exhibition game. We don't need to win this game. Like, it's okay to try things out. I do like that they're not, Steve Kerr isn't just mixing it up every game and, trying a bunch of different things to see what works. He's kind of, from the beginning, had his plan and had his lineups and just made small tweaks. And I think that's good for continuity because they don't have a lot of time to get ready and build chemistry together. Although they do look, I think, very good in terms of chemistry, ball movement, player movement. It's very much a Steve Kerr team. And I think it's surprising how well orchestrated they look in such a short period of time. But I still would have liked to see Walker Kessler because maybe you need a big body during the World Cup. And you don't want to have to, what if Jaren gets into foul trouble? You only get 5 fouls. And I get that it's more physical. They allow more physicality, but he could still easily pick up 4 fouls, or 5 fouls, I mean. And what if you need a bigger guy like Walker Kessler? If you haven't tried him, like, sure, he played against Slovenia, he played against Puerto Rico, but you obviously got to try him against the even better teams than that to be confident enough to, if you need to use him in the World Cup, and see what lineups he fits into. But I do understand wanting to play this game against Spain how you would if it were really a big World Cup game. And this did have an intense feel. I was getting into it. You can tell I'm getting into it because I'm complaining about the referees. I'm not complaining about the referees if I don't care about this game. But maybe we'll see against, I think we're playing Greece in Germany, I think. And then maybe one more game. Or I don't know. I think we're definitely playing Greece. And I think we're playing Germany as well. So maybe he gets some run in those games. Kessler, that is. Thought Anthony Edwards was big again in this game, especially in the fourth quarter. He really took over to push the team over the edge and cement the victory late, and I thought he did it on both ends. He got a big block, was running the floor. He just looks so confident out there. And if he's looking like that, the Timberwolves could be scary next season. I think I'm seeing a lot of predictions for the Western Conference next season, and a lot of people don't even have the Timberwolves in the play-in, which is super disrespectful to the Timberwolves. Like, I mean, I've been known to criticize the Timberwolves a lot, but not having them even in the play-in is crazy. With Cat coming back after he didn't play a lot of last season, like, they still have very good players. Just because their team isn't built super well and they made a stupid trade doesn't mean they're not a good team. And if Anthony Edwards is superstar level, like I feel like he's kind of showing here, that's scary. I thought Jaren Jackson Jr. was pretty good protecting the rim and being a force inside. There were a few moments where he got posted up. He got posted up like twice in a row. And, I don't know the FIBA rules too well. Seemed like he kind of got hooked a couple times in the post. I don't know if that's not called as much in FIBA or what, but it seemed like he was getting hooked, which is why he wasn't getting his contest off. But he really is a great rim protector, and especially with the FIBA rules, being able to camp out in the lane, that helps a lot, which is why I also think Walker Kessler could be big, just camping in the lane. Austin Reeves had a bit of a mixed bag of a game. I thought he was solid offensively and got kind of killed defensively at times. In that first quarter, he came in for Mikal Bridges, and I talked about it in the last video. The starting lineup for this Team USA is amazing defensively, but then you make one sub, and that it goes away. You sub out Mikal, for Austin Reeves, and that goes down here hill real quick. Spain was just searching out Austin Reeves every time down the court, and they were punishing the mismatches inside on Reeves. I think Halliburton probably had his worst game of these 3 games that he's played, but not too worried about that. I just thought he was turning it over a little bit more than normal, doing his classic leave his feet so something develops while he's in the air. And then, usually he gets away with it. Other guys usually don't. But in this one, it caught up to him. He had a few turnovers. And it was interesting that I think in the second half, they went with a lot of Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton lineups. And that's definitely not great defensively. Neither are great defenders. Both are, well, Brunson's smaller. Tyrese is not very strong or good at staying in front of his guy. But it wasn't the worst when they were both out there. It wasn't like the 3 guard lineups that we were putting out there that would absolutely get killed. I think Mikal Bridges had a quiet game, and I think he's kind of been quiet for all 3 games. He's had his moments of hitting those turnaround jumpers. I think he hit a couple threes in this game, and maybe that's just his role, where Anthony Edwards and Brandon Ingram are the guys offensively outside of obviously the point guards. And then Mikal's just going to be kind of him and Cam Johnson just playing the 3-and-D role, and that's fine. And maybe Mikal will have his moments when someone else is struggling. Just some comments about other guys. Josh Hart still can't dribble the basketball. Paolo also can't really dribble the basketball. I think it probably doesn't help that the courts are smaller for a guy like Paolo, who is, doesn't have the tightest dribble, is just kind of going to go barreling into you and then do a quick spin move. I mean, he's so athletic. If he can just keep that ball close to him, he's going to score. But the other team knows that, right? They know that there's this massive athletic dude coming at me. He's going to do a spin move. And if I allow him to do that, he's probably going to score. So I need to go and try to grab this ball before he does it. And Spain was pretty successful at that a couple times. And then Paolo got away with one of them. Paolo's just he's a fun player to watch. Like it wasn't great in this game, but he is a very fun player to watch. Just watching him get downhill. That is not a guy that I would want to step in front of. And this Team USA team, I mean, looking good so far. 3 wins. Obviously, the first 2 were not against great teams. I mean, Slovenia is good, but they were without Luka. So that doesn't really count as beating the actual Slovenia, because they're an entirely different team with Luka, obviously. But beating this Spain team and doing it in pretty convincing fashion is a very good sign, because Spain has a lot of talent. They got the Hernan Gomez brothers. They got former OKC Thunder Alex Abrinas. They got Rudy Fernandez. They got Santi Aldama. And it's always so interesting to me watching international play as a Team USA fan, because all these other teams have guys that have been together for so long. And then with Team USA, it's like every, 4 years, 3 years between World Cups and Olympics, it's just like, what new set of guys do we have this time? I mean, it's not always like that. Obviously, there are guys that played on a lot of Team USA teams, but there's not a lot of veterans on this Team USA team. And so it's always interesting just seeing the talent of Team USA versus the teamwork and FIBA experience of these other teams. Anyways, that is it for this episode of, I guess I'm calling this the Team USA report now. I don't know what the next game is. I guess I could look it up, but I'm too lazy. So whatever the next game is, I might be back doing a recap of that if there's stuff to talk about. If there's not, then after the next game, I'll just kind of do a recap of both. But each game is making me more and more excited for this World Cup. We're only 13 days away from that opener. I think it's against New Zealand. Very excited for that. And with that, I will see you guys later. Peace.